Let's rock and roll.
Hey, everybody. Jay Niblick here with Intermetrics, and I've got Brian Arzani. Hey, Brian.
What's up, Jay?
Not much, man. How you doing way over there?
Just enjoying life, man, every day.
Awesome. Those of you that don't know me, I'm the founder of Intermetrics, and Brian is the president of Intermetrics North America. And together, we're going to sit here and talk to you on these podcasts, webinars, whatever you want to call them, once a week about different topics. This is the first one you guys will be watching. We'll be doing one. There's a library that we'll have here on the website that tells you everything about what the different topics are going to be. This one is really kind of the foundation because we're giving you the DISC Plus. If you're a consultant and you're struggling to grow your practice, we're going to help you understand how to use the DISC Plus, which are two of the profiles that we own, in understanding how to be more successful as a consultant, because it's all about the strengths and weaknesses. We're going to do that in 20 minutes like the rest of our podcasts, because Brian has a great idea behind why we're going to do 20 minutes. Tell him, Brian.
Well, here's the deal. If you've got more than 20 minutes to watch a podcast, that's probably the first thing you need to get crossed off your list in terms of just allocation of time. You think of yourself in terms of what you're worth per hour. And if you got an hour just to sit there and pour into your head, unless you're going to be making, 2 to 20 grand off of that hour, not worth it. So our commitment to you is everything that we talk about is immediately applicable, high ROI activities. And so we're going to just do the cup of Java, man. Take 20 minutes, drink a cup of coffee. We're going to provide for you 20 minutes of real content that can allow you to go right out there and make it happen. No bait and switch, none of that other stuff. So if that turns you off, you know what? It's okay. If you're already a little bit frustrated, it's going to take 20 minutes. We already like you. You're probably doing pretty good, and you're going to be able to pick up a couple of ideas to make you a little more effective right now. So I'm Brian Arzani. I've been at this type of a role in the game since 2001. And nobody told me what I was or wasn't supposed to do. I didn't come at it with any lenses of, hey, here's how you grow a consulting practice. I just flat out just believed every day that we could figure out how to do something a little bit better than what we were doing before. So adapt, improvise, overcome.
And that's our customers, our consultants. We license profiles and training processes to independent consultants, business coaches, things like that. One of the big reasons they come to us, and we'll get over to the actual topic here in just a second, so pardon the pitch, but I want to make sure you understand why you should even be here. The main reason that the consultants that use us come to us is because we don't just sell profiles. If you want to buy a profile, one-off, cheapest price, commodity, ass problem, things to go, there's websites out there. I'll even show you where they are. It's not what we do. We really invest in helping our consultants grow a profitable business. That's where it all comes from. A lot of the IP that we own are psychometric instruments, DISC and values and the attributes index, organizational health check, all these different things. But they're tools that you use to establish your business, to get sales, and to grow a profitable business. And that's what our focus is on. So if you're looking for, I want a bargain basement $18 wholesale profile I can resell to my clients, don't come to us.
Yeah, one of the things I love to say in that, Jay, is, it's not about the acquisition of data. It's the application of it and making it usable and real and operating from that abundance mentality. So at Intermetrics, what we do is we don't talk from theory. We talk, it's funny, I was talking to somebody the other day who was looking at coming on board as a consultant for us. And she said, well, why you? And I said, well, when I learned, the people that taught me were speaking from a position of theory, or they already had some nest egg of money sitting around that they were able to fund, or they had some big client that was able to take them up. You know what I had? I had 4 kids at home that looked at me and said, Dad, are we going to actually be able to eat next month? And so while everybody else was putting together their, strategic plans and their best case scenarios and building out websites, you know what I had? I had a cell phone and a ton of desire. And while people were figuring out, 4 or 5 different strategies for going to market, I already figured out 552 ways you don't do it. And so what we tell our consultants is, here's what you do that will make it immediately applicable. There's no easy road. So as we talk about the DISC Plus today and help you figure out, what is it that will help you align yourself with who you really are and how you want to grow your practice, that's what we're talking about. So if you need some sexy slicks that are going to make you feel really good about how cool it looks, you probably just need to shut it off right now. And we're already, we got about 16 minutes left, Jace. You better get rocking and rolling, huh?
Yeah. Well, I think it's just important on this foundational piece that you understand.
Yeah, I agree.
Brian, I left a cushy fat sales job at Johnson & Johnson in 1999 to found Intermetrics. So everybody that you listen to here, Jennifer is the chief operating officer. She's in the background. We got Alan Miller over there in the UK, who's managing director or president of the international. All the people you're going to hear on these calls, on these webinars, they did the same thing. They took the leap of faith. They left the job. They left corporate America. They started a business with zero income. Maybe they had some reserve, but they started with zero income, and they figured out, how do I grow the business? And the tools are just a part of it. But if you don't know how to apply them, you're screwed.
Well, and also, G, I'll tell you, I mean, I don't have a doctorate or a master's in psychology or anything. I tell people I got a PhD from MSU. It's making shit up. Now, at the end of the day, you know what? It's all based in valid, reliable instruments that are EEOC compliant, that do what they got to do. But if you're looking for all these other fancy titles, you know what? Growing 2 firms to 7 figures plus, we know what we're doing, and we continue to do it every day. And we're not fed by continuing to grow our own. We're continued. I think just the way to say it, Jay, is I'm just continually fed by finding new folks who've got different profiles that are searching their own journey to figure out how to make themselves most successful and find the most joy from having a practice that feeds them and gives them what they want, not this up and down, inconsistent type of revenue. How do they create consistent revenue flow and stream that allows them to be able to do what they want, when they want, how they want? So
it's a good segue in. So in the 14 minutes we have left, which again, we don't need a whole lot of time for this stuff. It's amazing. People will get stuck in hours of theoretical debate and all that crap. You don't. Here's the topic you see on your screen, Brian. You got me here, right?
Oh yeah, brother.
All right. So this is the DISC Plus. This is one of the profiles that we own, and where it's really important if you want to become a successful consultant in any role, really, but since we're talking to you about consulting, and we've done this with 1,700 consultants in 52 countries now, I think are with us and using and benefiting from these methodologies. And one of the things that you'll be doing with clients is to help them understand this in their roles, but you should probably heal thyself first. So looking through here, if you don't know anything about DISC, we're not diving into a 3-hour learning training session here. We'll put some other documents up here where you can read and learn about DISC. And if you join up with us, you'll learn a whole lot about DISC theory. But it stands for dominance or decisiveness, interactiveness, the I, S for stability, and C for conscientiousness or cautiousness. Some even have said carefulness. But it's the 4 different core behavioral styles. And we also look at the values. And this is a second set of it's a second instrument, a second psychometric instrument, and it looks at the 7 core motivators or drivers. So if we did a 7-year, 197,000 person study looking at best performers and looking for correlations, and there were really 2 things that popped out. The better performers, which is also defined as satisfied, that was the top thing they actually put as to why I feel successful when they self-rated, and they were tops in their careers, tops in their fields, Fortune 500 folks, famous actors and CEOs and physicians. They all had way, way higher self-awareness, number 1, and they were more authentic, number 2, meaning they knew what their strengths were. The average Joe on the street on a 0 to 10 scale was a 5.5. What are your greatest natural strengths and talents? 5.5. And I'm about half aware. These guys were 8.7. But it's like they had a laminated card in their back wall, like Brian, that was like, oh yeah, I mean, boom, 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 memorized. What do you suck at? Boom, 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 boom. Okay. They knew it better than anybody else. So that's your first task in your development, is understand what it is you're great at. These dimensions deal with how quickly you make decisions, and the higher the D goes, the faster paced you like to be, the more decisive, the more gut instinct you are. The lower the D, the more deliberate, the slower you like to make decisions. So getting yourself in a scenario where you have to make on demand, real quick, real fast decisions, and you're a very low D, not a great way to go. Can you still be super successful? Yes, but find a way to get in an environment where your decisions are slow and steady and thoughtful, and you have the time to carefully think them out. Or
I think it's a great piece, because when I first took this, and this is the thing for everybody watching this today, when I first took the profile, we're talking back in 1999, I did not like my profile. I wanted to be like other people in the room who were these high Ds. And a lot of folks are like, you've got to be a high D, Brian. You're super intense. No, you know what? I get intense because of what we're going to talk about in the second layer of this psychometric suite of tools, because it's really two different tools packaged together because it's easier to put them in one document. But what, like Jay talked about, I knew that about myself, but it took me time to actually become comfortable with the fact that I wasn't this driving, forceful, daring person all the time. My tendency was to be a little bit more inquisitive and sit back and be more calculated in how I made the decision. Now, when I'm doing what I love, oh my gosh, it is easy for me to become incredibly driving, demanding. But I think the message you want to drive home to you right now is just because you're a low D, it doesn't mean you can't be successful. And also, please don't manipulate or look to change how your profile looks so that you can be some magical high D person, because the energy you use, you only have 100% of your energy. You're either going to make it as an investment or you're going to take a withdrawal. So if you're trying to be what you're not, you're already taking away. Let's say you're using 20% of your energy to be something that you're not. Well, then that means you only have 80% of your energy actually capably available to go out and grow your practice every day. And it's hard. Anybody that says it's easy to be an independent consultant has never done it.
Yeah,
okay?
no, sounds easy at first until you get out there.
Yeah.
Sidebar, a lot of people think it's easy when they're surrounded by a company because they go, I'm great at this. I've been a manager. I got 20 years experience. I've done all this stuff. It's sometimes difficult until you realize when all that gets stripped away, you're like, wow, Bob in accounting really was valuable. Susie over in marketing really did help bring clients our way. When everything goes away and it's just you standing in the middle of a forest with an axe and there's not a single tree down yet and you got to clear it, it's amazingly tough. That's why what we're saying is so important. We're not going to walk through every one of these dimensions because we've got 7 minutes left and we don't give a damn where we are at 7 minutes. We're the psychologist that says, ding, time up. Sorry, we'll talk about your mother later.
Well, here's what I'll just give you this, Jay. I think this is the piece for everybody here. The higher you go, the tendency is to be more gregarious, outgoing. The lower you go, the tendency is to be a little bit withdrawn. The S, it's how you tend to pace things. The higher it goes, the more consistent an individual tends to be, the less emotion they may show. And the lower it goes, the faster paced and the less consistent they are in terms of how stable and steady they are. The higher the C goes, the more cautious, or the tendency is to look at precedent and to be more perfectionistic at the precedent of the rules and procedures provided. And the lower it goes, the more an individual tends to be a little bit more rebellious to the procedures and processes given. So regardless of where you shake out, the higher or lower you go, the more extreme, the closer we get in there, the less observable or the more situational based on things that the DISC doesn't measure, which we're going to get into here as we talk about the values. When we talk about values, these are the things, the motivators, the things that we run towards. And when Intermetrics put this together, they went back to the original, truly the grit and the realities of what it was. And Jay, I'm fascinated at how you really came up with the vocabulary, but it's really what these words actually mean in terms of aesthetic, right? Aesthetic is the drive to create harmony and peace. The higher that goes, the more a person wants harmony. The lower it goes, like myself, who's a 13, I tend to be an anti-harmony or a bit of a pot stirrer, right? In that respect.
You like coffee is for closers. You actually thrive in somewhat of a competitive environment, which a high aesthetic feels is not harmonious and disruptive and will drive them away.
Exactly.
In the interest of time, and not to interrupt you, what you're going to do is go through this report. And we're not going to teach you we'll be here for 3 hours going through every page in the profile. It's here for you. It's fairly self-interpretive. You can read it, you can look at it, but your task, your objective, and when I wrote these 2 profiles, I wrote them to be easy enough to interpret for the average person. So you need to walk through it and you're looking for what are your key strengths, what are your key weaknesses. Don't ignore the weaknesses. Look to get that self-awareness. Don't get to the 5.5, go for the 8, go for the 9. What are your great talents and what do you suck at? Write a bullet list for both of them. When you get to the end of it, and you want to do, so this is why, why am I motivated to do something, which is just as important, because if you tell yourself, I'm going to go out and start this business because somebody else's motivation, someone else in a book I read, my wife, my husband, somebody wants me, that's not going to work. That's the same with DISC, the same with what Brian said. That's you doing someone else doing something. You can't succeed by trying to do it the way someone else did. unless they're identical to you, and there's no clones out there. So go through and figure out what are your greatest motivations and how do you make sure that what you're doing satisfies those, because these are the keys. What, maybe it's high economic, maybe it's high political. If it's low economic, don't go out and say, I got to go out here and make a lot of money. That's not going to truly excite you in the morning at a deep level that's going to create the commitment and the engagement that you need to do. And while I'm scrolling down, Brian, you were going to say something.
Well, and I think it's even the conviction. I love the fact that I'm a lower D and I get to tell people that I am, but I have so much self-awareness and I'm so darn authentic to that, meaning I'm convicted to stay true to myself. My business partner, Jennifer, who really, truly, everybody meets and goes, yeah, you are yin and yang. I get to tell her, she'll say, hey, here's what we're going to go do. Here's the task for you. And I go, I just don't have the juice today. And she'll go, great. So I'll send her to-dos at 10 o'clock at night when I'm high energy. She'll send me an email at 6:51 and let me know the 8 things I sent her already done. Because if there was a scale to go to 200, she'd be that on the D. So I get to be me and she gets to be her. And that's what's allowed me to have the ability to be successful. So to your point, the biggest, I think, feedback we get from consultants and from their clients are the DISC Plus is truly very intuitive. I mean, a person can't kind of analyze. Now, it takes a higher level to really get into the deeper parts of it, but it's brilliantly written, Jay.
Well, the point is we want you to go through and understand that self-awareness. You want to be an independent consultant. You are an independent consultant coach, whatever you're calling yourself. You're doing it, you want to do it, or you're doing it very well and you want to get even better at it. This is the first step. Look at yourself and make sure that you're well aligned. So down here on page 23, you'll get to the relevance section. And after you've read through all these previous pages, understand how to apply it. So how is your D score relevant in your life? This is the most important aspect of this entire process. You need to carefully sit down and say, what does it mean that I'm a moderate D, a high D, a low D? What's it do for the I, S, and C? Answer these natural styles, answer the adaptive styles. We go through all of these 2 pages. When you get to the values, I want you, or the third page, the relevant section, I want you to make sure and fill this out, because you have to understand, how is what I just learned supporting my success? Real specific examples. Where do these strengths help me succeed today? This is
so key.
I'm good at this.
Yeah, this is so key, because if you won't do it as a consultant who wants to go out and do it, here's the thing. You're only credible if this is who you are. So those that will just sit there and theoretically want to talk to people because they know information about this, you're not credible. The reason why I've been able to be successful is because I flat out eat, breathe, and sleep this. I live it every day. And so when you ask me for supporting successes and examples, I can rattle them off over and over again. And if you are not able to do that, then you will never have a successful consulting practice.
Same with your limitings. Same with what you suck at. You're not going to identify these things so you can fix them. You need to identify why you're depending on something you don't have from a behavioral standpoint, and you continue to try to assume that's going to support your success, and you're not good at it. And hey, everybody has the same length list of what they're great at and what they suck at. They tell you otherwise, they're lying to your face. When you get to the values, 1 minute left. When you get to the values, same exact thing. I want you to read through everything in the values, write down your top motivator and your second. If you need, squeeze a third one in down here. But I want you to say, how well does it align with what you're doing? If it's high economic, Brian, there's the timer. Love you, folks. We don't go past 20 minutes. We'll catch this on the next call. Bye. Go sell something.
Success.